Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledge it, knowledge with no scholarships. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down, tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want, we just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the program. You heard the man. It's Topic Thunder. The number one, Ben, we just found this out. Actually, I was told by the marketing department. We are the number one rated podcast in our time slot.
Right.
Watched by my father.
Perfect.
I just high-fived everybody across the mahogany office table that we have, and was like, great job.
Did it.
All right.
Woo!
Woo! Welcome into the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't know, my dad actually watches the show. And where does he watch the show? The beating heart of our show, ladies. The world's most dangerous chat zone. That's the Thunderdome. That's right over there. And there's already a VIP in a very important parent in the chat room. Ma Jordan's there. Aunt Chris is in. CJ, thank you, Courtney, very much for the belated birthday.
Hold on.
Happy birthday, Mike Brooks.
Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, I have it on good authority. And if you don't know whose voice that was Kevin Conroy.
Happy birthday, Mike Brooks.
The late Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
And as I know this, Ben, this is as far as I know, Ben, and we can say these things because Fox News does it all the time without any legal repercussions whatsoever. As far as I know, Ben, those are the last words Kevin Conroy ever said to me.
No way to you.
As far as I know, there could be secret recordings out there. But it's a yearly tradition. And speaking of traditions, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kick it off with had a little bit of a birthday weekend. Yay me. And my trip around the sun. So went to a really old school arcade, Ben. We went to the Galloping Ghost in Brookfield, Illinois. And if you don't know, there are 923 arcade games.
Whoa.
At the Galloping Ghost in Brookfield, Illinois.
No shit.
And it is a it's been around.
That's incredible.
It's been around 2010. Lockport Joe, Billy Whack, and I. We'll get to Billy Whack in a moment, but it's just a spoiler. If you're here for Billy Whack, we're going to rebook him next week. There were some travel arrangements. Apparently, some interdimensional, inter-county travel had to happen. And, well, let's just say it was agreeable by all parties that we're just going to have Mr. Whack on next week to discuss the goings-on of the Super Wrestlers, which was April 23rd, which will be again August 27th, and we'll be hyping that, of course, a little bit later. So I had a little birthday festivities at this arcade in Ben. It was $25, all you can play.
Oh no shit! So you don't even have to pay for the games. You just pay up front, and all the games are just turned on, and you can play.
You just press a button. You press a button. They got it hardwired, and you just press a button. It's a quarter every time you press the button.
What a great idea!
Everything from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all the Pac-Man, all the Q-Berts, all the Zack Sounds and Galagas, up to all the Street Fighters, Mortal Kombats, NFL Blitzes. There was this souped-up modern version of Contra that was fun. Biz was there. And by the way, if you liked what you heard, the open to the show, that was produced by my good friend Biz. You can find him at They Call Me Biz. You can also check out his clothing line, which is getsheisty.com. He was there. And apparently, Zaxxon. So yeah, and Mr. Whack, thank you very, very much. couldn't make it. He had some work stuff that just prevented him from being able to get there. But truth be told, I sent him a picture of the Zaxxon machines. They had Zaxxon 1, Zaxxon 2. There is no need to apologize. Let's do this again. This is a cool place, man.
That sounds like the coolest place on earth.
It really is. It's actually so here's this, all right. Here's this about the Ghost. Like, there's too many games, right? There's too many. You walk in and you just are assaulted by choice. There are games you've never heard of before. There are games that, like, you'll recall walking past when you were going to the arcade for your for your fifth grade friend's pizza birthday party, but you never played, right? Because what? It cost quarters. Right. The brilliance of
the old WWF challenge game that was outside the Walmart where I grew up.
They had that. They had one of the Curacao wrestling games, so it was all pure. It was Japanese, but like the Street Fighter and like some of the like you like, oh wow, like games that you just don't know. A ton of the sit down ride games, all the shooter games. If you wanted to pick up a gun and shoot zombies or aliens or even human beings,
whatever it was. Yeah.
Dude, the first game I played, truth be told, first game I sat down, not really sat down because he didn't sit down to play this game, was Operation Wolf. The very first Operation Wolf, which was you stand up, you hold a little Uzi, you shoot like in all these crazy left-wing militants that are some foreign country that you're clearly just taking a peacekeeping operation, right?
Left-wing militants,
right? You fire grenades with a little button on the left hand. Pure joy, pure absolute
Sounds
joy.
like it.
And it is a labyrinth of video games. There's just rows of games. Like I sat down and just like beat a Star Wars game, just flying through trenches, through the speeder bike, through the Hoth and all that, just because you could just keep hitting the button. So the Galloping Ghost, seriously, it was it's beautiful. They don't sell food. They got some chips. They got, you want a Coke or something like that. They got that, but that's it. They don't serve food or anything like that. Plenty of restaurant, I wouldn't say plenty, but enough restaurant ideas and stuff around, including our good friends at the Imperial Oak Brewery.
That was a long way to get to the can. Yeah.
Don't ever doubt my segue skills in a long-winded effort when we lost.
I was like, are we gonna do a beer tonight, or
we did.
are we just gonna tell stories? Yeah.
I got a little ahead of myself, but this is basically what we're hyping. It's the Crank It Hype IPA, and I already opened one, so that's the can. So cheers to everybody, and we should do a Galloping Ghost Topic Thunder like event. But anyway,
that'd be great.
That would be awesome, right? To get you up here to play video games.
Yes.
It did
smell like a roller. Yeah.
You know exactly what it smelled like if you've ever been in an arcade or a roller, not necessarily a roller rink, because there's like the musk of physical activity.
Right.
This is just shit. Yeah, there's a difference between sweating over Frogger and sweating over like trying to keep up with like the cool guy on the rink, right? Trying to get the gal. Hey, you didn't come here to hear about my childhood. You came here to hear about the world's most creative headline.
The creative segment. The most creative, creatively named segment ever.
Did I say headline and not segment?
Yes.
Of course I did. Well, you didn't hear me open the beer, so this may not be my version. Who cares? Welcome to a brand new friggin' world, ladies and gentlemen. As a McDonald's franchise in Louisville, Kentucky, has been fined for child labor violations.
Oh.
Check this out. Louisville, Kentucky. Hello?
Wait, what the fuck? Look at this. The first 3 or 4 words are mind-blowing.
2 10-year-olds are among 300 children who worked at McDonald's restaurants illegally. A Labor Department investigation of franchisees in Kentucky found. Agency investigators found the 10-year-olds received little or no pay at a McDonald's in Louisville.
Oh my God.
The Labor Department said that the franchisees were fined $212,000.
I'm sorry, exploiting children and not even paying them, and all they got fined was $212,000. Are you kidding me?
Louisville's Bauer Foods, LLC, which operates 10 McDonald's locations, employed 24 minors under the age of 16 to work more hours than legally permitted, the agency said. Among those were the two 10-year-old children. The agency said that children worked as late as 2 a.m., but were not paid. Now, hold on a second. 2 a.m.? And they're 10 years old? Okay, drop the whole idea that like they're in a McDonald's doing who knows what till 2 a.m., right? They're
working with hot grease,
or just at 2 a.m. The McDonald's closes at what then? So they're clean, whatever.
Yeah, what are they doing at 2 a.m. at McDonald's?
How are they getting home?
Jesus.
How are they going home? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking questions that, like, I don't know, a reasonable person might. But apparently in Kentucky, they're not reasonable people.
That is ridiculous.
Below the minimum age for employment, they prepared and distributed food orders, cleaned the store, worked at the drive-through window, and operated a register, the Labor Department said. Adding one child was also allowed to operate a deep fryer, which is a prohibitive task for workers under 16. Franchise owner-operator Sean Bauer said the two 10-year-olds cited the Labor Department statement where they were visiting their parent, a night manager, and weren't employees.
Oh, okay. They were just working, helping their mom.
Hey, you know what would be really cool is if you kept your job and brought your two 10-year-old kids in here and work for free. Wouldn't that be really cool?
There is no pro-life, pro-child outrage for this. Because the other side, they really, truly believe, like, this is what kids should be doing. Entering the workforce, not being children. Like, this is a good thing. There are a lot of people that see this as a positive thing, and they don't understand, just like we're baffled by the idea that this is obviously child exploitation and is happening in front of us all, and all it costs them is $212,000, which they probably laughed at when they wrote the check.
10 franchises.
They own 10 McDonald's franchises. $212,000 is chump change. Chump change. I guarantee they laughed at the idea that they had to write that check. Yeah, absolutely. You mean every time can I do this again, and then the fine is just $212,000?
Well, now,
cool?
Mr. Bauer, the court finds you guilty of employing children under the age of 16 and egregiously, too, at the age of 10. While these children should be in school or should be out playing in the bright Kentucky sun. They are working in your McDonald's, setting a standard that we all can achieve and praise in our lives. So for your egregious acts, but sir, you're also employing people, we fine you $20,000 per franchise for a stunning total of $212,000 American dollars.
That's it? Oh, can I write you a check for double and I can just employ some children again?
That dude, Sean Bauer's like, hey, Seymour, thanks. I'll see you on the golf course at 8 a.m.
Exactly. I'll write you another check in a couple of months.
Yeah, when are you up for re-election? Oh, I'll make sure that happens. 212, I'll match that in campaign contributions.
Dude.
Hello.
Dude.
When are we living? Not where.
When? Yeah.
When are we living right now? Because it doesn't seem like 2023.
No, sure doesn't.
It really doesn't. When this is the second or third, I can't keep count, that we've brought a story or two to everybody about child labor laws being violated. 10-year-olds should not be doing anything but being 10-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
and whatever that means is
and sometimes not paying them. They said they're sometimes not even paying these kids.
Well, that though, bet those are just kids visiting their parents.
Their parents, yeah.
Because the McDonald's isn't paying that employee, that parent, enough to afford childcare, so that parent has no choice but probably to bring her kids to work. So, again, I probably was just shooting, out there off the hip, but like it was probably a conversation, like, hey, if your kids are going to be here,
yeah.
You can have them. They can pick up a mop. Then I use a mop, right?
Right. Right. Can they wash down tables? Can they
when
carry
are
around?
we living at McDonald's, right? So whereas that's for so now I guess I don't know. This is McDonald's. This is okay. I mean, this is kind of what you expect for an organization fronted by like a clown. That kind of weird one too, like and a weird set of imaginary animals, like. And I don't know. Where's Mayor McCheese? Where is his statement on this terrible
Hamburglar?
Situation? Yeah, where's Ronald McDonald getting out in front of the story? Hey, you may have heard, Ben. You may have heard. I don't know. You may have heard. I don't know that there was a weird drone attack on the Kremlin today. Right.
I did not hear that. So smart
really?
Me up.
Oh, yes. Well.
I've been kind of out of the loop today.
Okay. All right. Hey, and that's what this show is all about, being out of the loop. Ukraine, here's the headline, right? This is from yesterday, but this happened kind of overnight, all that kind of fun stuff, right? Ukraine denies Russian claim that Kyiv sent drones to hit Kremlin. Now, there is a whole big thing about a video that I actually sent you a link to. So why don't we watch the video? Why don't we come back? But Here is the accusation that somehow, some way, Ukraine was able to send a drone to what the Kremlin states tried to assassinate Vladimir Putin. Again.
Okay, let me get it's going to give me a second here. This is a little bit different source than I'm used to.
Oh, it's a YouTube. Yeah, I don't usually send you YouTubes.
No,
I send you weird European links that I don't even know what I'm clicking on. All right.
Whoa.
So a way to kind of blow that up a little. Okay, here's it. There, you see it clearly right there. That the drone, right? Like, okay.
Whoa.
Now, this is what the Kremlin is claiming an assassination attempt.
They are
claiming that this is an assassination attempt by the Ukrainian government of Vladimir Putin. But in the same sentence, the Kremlin states that Vladimir Putin was nowhere near the Kremlin at the time, that he was at actually what turns out to be a very palatial estate out in the very rich suburbs of Moscow. So let me ask you this, Ben. How can you have an assassination attempt when the guy wasn't even around?
That seems very poorly planned.
And let's just hypothetically speaking, that Ukraine could actually fit a drone with any kind of munition and send it that far and into the heart of the Russian government, the capital, right?
To get a drone that close seems almost unfathomable.
Unfathomable.
For a man who is beyond paranoid about his safety, there's just no way. Yeah, this seems like this screams false flag.
Doesn't it? Now, can we watch that video one more time and just see where the drone goes kablooey?
Very conveniently, right above where shit goes down here. It's on repeat. Sorry. Come on.
Oh, come on. The flag's still standing, for God's sakes. This is the firework.
Yeah, this is... And, yeah, no.
What is that?
It looks like now. If you were to tell me that they shot that drone out of the sky like that,
Whack.
but our flag is still there. If you'd have told me that if the report was Russia shot that thing out of the sky, I might believe that.
I
but
wouldn't
don't
believe you let it get close. That's like that is literally like that's the
like
White House.
flying over the White House, right?
That's the White House, dude. That's the Kremlin. The White House, Kremlin, White House.
Got it.
Imagine something.
There's no way. I'm sorry.
Dude,
I don't believe there's any way they would let anything get that close. No
There
way.
are dudes and with handheld anti-aircraft missiles patrolling the roof of the White House 24/7. There are missile batteries probably on that MFR, to be honest with you. And to think that something, I don't care how big or small it is. Again, for something to travel a large distance, it needs a lot of fuel, right? And if it was an assassination attempt to explode over something, would require a heavy payload, a big explosive, right?
Yeah, and that didn't seem like a very big explosion either. That looked like you said, like a firework. That was theatrics.
Can I quote a paraphrase Sid Caesar from "It's a Mad, Mad, Bad, 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 Bad World"? There's 2 people in the chat room right now that get this joke. It's just gonna be a little boom. It's gonna be a little poof. That's all. Just a little poof. Yeah. And okay, so Ben. One of my favorite things to talk about, these geopolitical struggles. If it was an assassination attempt, hasn't Ukraine proven extremely effective in doing something? Like if they want to take down, I don't know, a bridge, or I don't know, the crown jewel of the Russian Navy and sink a ship.
Yeah, and it makes no sense. Like you would think that they would plan it, surely, knowing that Putin was in the building. It blows the entire theory up that if he wasn't there and it was well known that he wasn't there, then why would he? They would. If you were going to assassinate someone, the first thing that you would do, the very first thing, is you would make sure you knew exactly where that person was going to be at a particular time, and then try to execute your plan in that space and time. Yes, that would be the first thing that you would do.
I have idea. We fly drone over Kremlin. We fly drone hundreds of miles. Small drone.
We get it all the way through the building.
All the way. No, so small, not detected.
And we just hope that he's there.
Over a building.
And we hope he's there.
We blow up just below flag, and just above building, while Steadicam, hardcam film whole thing.
Oh, wow, Steadicam, hardcam film.
It's a perfect shot.
Yeah, why again? Why? Who's recording
Where's the
this?
security footage.
Yeah.
If this was like the U.S., there'd be so much security footage. Like, holy shit, we saw like whatever, right?
There would be multiple angles. Yeah.
There'd be people with cameras out there. Like, I know this is at night, but like it. Again, for a drone, that's small. That's a small drone, folks. I don't need to cast dispersions, and it's we're not measuring anybody's.
I'm calling
anybody
bullshit
here.
on that whole thing.
Maybe, just maybe, they kind of did something like that because it's becoming well known that some Russian Navy ships near a certain underwater pipeline were hanging out and possibly either, I don't know, sabotaging or planning something to sabotage the Nord Stream pipeline. It is now becoming well known that several unmarked Russian ships were hanging out right around for about 4 days before the Nord Stream 2 pipeline just went kablooey. It's the second time I've used the word kablooey. I didn't come into the show expecting to do that. But could it have been possible that they staged something like this to kind of, I don't know, bury a story? Or, Ben, let me posit this possibility that things are getting so bad in Russia in their power structure that this is going to be a false flag, not for any action against Ukraine, but which is they're already blaming Ukraine, so they're already calling for retaliatory measures.
Right. But now we know that there were Russian ships right at the exact same spot 4 days before the.
But could this be a cover now for a crackdown in Russia over almost like kind of like Chinese rule, where it's
So they were saying so they would say that these people that were there, these ships were some sort of dissident ships, like some sort of counter culture, for lack of a better word. What am I looking for?
They're unmarked. Well, okay, it's weird because we've talked about this, and I've actually we talked last week prior show. I talked about a story that I nixed about like Russian planes that had turned off, Russian military jets that are buzzing like the airspace around like newly NATO friends in like Finland with their transponders turned off, which is like their hey, this is who and what I am and where I'm from ID, like that. You only do that in a time of war when you don't want to broadcast your location, right? And these Russian ships are kind of doing the same thing now, and they were caught like I guess satellite photography. They had months and months of like looking through like satellite imagery, and they confirmed these ships. We talked about this again a couple weeks ago. There are more Russian ships showing up over these like internet cables, communication lines, gas lines, and that stuff's never been on the table. And I don't know that like we have ever had like a world war.
It opens up a whole new can of worms, right? You're right. It is a different. We've never had a war or an uneasiness among world powers with this sort of technology being so prominent. You're absolutely right. Like the Cold War, even the Cold War of the early 90s, there wasn't this type of technology, and the world wasn't so dependent on the internet. I mean, imagine if you were to cut off a country's internet.
Well, look at Ukraine. That's what's happened, and Ukraine's relying on Elon Musk's Starlink for military communications, which is problematic in and of itself. And we're going to talk about Mr. Musk a little bit later in the show. It's this whole war, and it's a war, Ukraine and Russia, has taught us a ton of like new concepts. They've figured out how to use new toys in ways that maybe when the people who developed the toys didn't. Again, they sank an entire ship, the prized destroyer of the Russian Navy. They called it the Moscow. It was Moskova. They sank it with a combination of drones with heavy explosives and ski-doos with an aluminum boat frame filled with explosives that were operated remotely. This is
so they're not going to fly a fucking mini drone over
do
the fucking
what?
capital. No,
they're not into like making statements like "haha, we can get you." There are plenty of stories you can look up right now. There are Russian fuel depots and ammo depots on fire right now that are inside Ukraine, and Volodymyr Zelensky has publicly said, we're not after Putin or the Kremlin. He basically says the Hague will have their way with Putin. There's only attacking things on their territory. So we haven't talked really about Ukraine in a while. So I just wanted to again say Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, and we're going to move on to something maybe even potentially even scarier because we don't talk about China.
They fly under the radar for sure.
They really have, right? But they're a problem. So much so that the FBI director came out and said that this is what the FBI, this is a quote from the FBI director, that China has a bigger hacking program than any other major nation combined, and has stolen
every other nation.
Thank you. And has stolen more of our personal and corporate data than all other nations, big or small, combined. They say they're underfunded by at least $63 million, which seems light considering the agency also said that they're understaffed 50 to 1 as far as cyber personnel versus Chinese operatives. And it's been long known that China steals technological ideas from universities, corporations, and they've done so unfettered for decades. There is a ton of Chinese money in our university system, which is also a ginormous problem. So maybe the focus on Russia is a personal one, but that's a serious problem. We have talked about China before, but that would be great. We actually, I'm glad. Hey, Dad F and Brooks, I'm glad you mentioned Mr. DeSantis because we're going to talk about him in a little bit too. But yeah, we have a serious problem with China and hacking, and for all the stories that we've done about having our water system and our oil pipelines and other things being probed, knowing our financial system knowingly probed by foreign influence, it's truly something that kind of like we should probably be paying more attention to.
For sure.
I want to
that quote from him to give you a sense of what we're up against. If each one of the FBI's cyber agents and intel analysts, focused exclusively on the China threat, Chinese hackers would still outnumber FBI cyber personnel by at least 50 to 1 if they worked exclusively. Now we know India is a big spot for cyber hacking and troll farms and things of that nature. Russia's obviously they dabble in this shit too.
There's plenty Eastern Bloc countries like Czech. They have a huge problem in the Czechia. Romania has a problem. There are countries, and it's still in like Eastern Europe, that have a heavy influence where there are those Russian troll farms, those Russian attack units, basically like Teddy Bear, and stuff like those famous Russian hackers. Yeah, and China kind of sails under the radar, doesn't it?
It sure does, man. They're doing all kinds of fucking shit, dude. Like. And again, they're buying up land in the United States, farmland, and
buying debt.
Businesses. They're buying debt. Yep, that's a big one. Now, all of our notes that the Federal Reserve is out there, all our debt is just being bought up. They are playing the long game in a different way than Russia is, for sure.
It is. It shows you the cultural differences between basically a bunch of barbarians and a more sophisticated society.
Again, a more a barbaric way of doing things and a more analytical, intelligent,
sophisticated
way of doing things. Sophisticated. That's the right way to put it. Yeah.
So
do they still in the tri-state? What's that? What does that mean?
The tri-state, the Illinois highway system. That I don't know. We haven't. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But speaking of highways, check this one out. Thank you. Check this one out in Sweden, Ben. They're building the world's first permanent electrified road for EVs to charge while driving.
We talked to us about this idea not that long ago.
And I think this was one of the countries that was demoing in that, I think we showed like what the road or what like the hyper idea would look like, but like here we go, it's electric woogie. The first of its kind, an e-motorway may lead to an expansion of a further 3,000 kilometer piece of electric road in Sweden by 2045. Now, 2045. It's not that long, especially if you're going to basically 3,000 kilometers. That's probably like 2,700 miles. It's almost the length of the United States, like coast to coast. That's a pretty long highway, and again, long-term planning.
This is where it's got to go. For electric vehicles to really take hold and become the thing that all the auto manufacturers want and all of the environmentalists want, this technology right here has to work, because the charging thing is the biggest thing. And right now, it is not convenient to if you have to travel any sort of distance, it is not convenient to do so in an EV. It's just the way that it is. The technology is not there yet. And the idea that gas stations are eventually going to start switching over, right? They're going to start offering charging stations. They're still going to offer gas because there's still going to be gas vehicles. But they're going to start taking out some of those and putting in these charging stations. And the technology is going to get better to allow vehicles to charge faster. But if this technology actually works and your car charges while you're driving on the road, essentially meaning if we made all the roads like this, your car would never run out of battery. That's a game changer.
All major highways,
highways, right? Especially spaces between, empty spaces. Like I live in West Texas, dude. There is 2 hours of nothing between everything.
That's what I call the drive between Illinois and St. Louis.
Yeah, it's just nothing.
Sorry, I love Illinois. Well, I love Chicago. I love but
it's
like
just farmland.
That's all it is. It's flat. But yeah. And if you had, this is a way, if you could imagine, the article from our good friends at Euro News goes on to explain that would be, you'd have to really scroll down, but it's almost like putting your cell phone on like a wireless charger.
Yes. Yeah. Same.
And
same idea,
it's an inductive charging system, and it's going to use special equipment buried underneath the road that sends electricity to a coil that into the electric vehicle, right? So it's literally just it's going to be an electrified road, and could you imagine a reworking of the United States highway system?
Well, it would employ a lot of people.
Well,
right?
Shit,
job creation alone would be beneficial. Yeah.
Could you imagine the boon in solar panel manufacturing and construction? Right. The jobs there. Could you imagine what what little independent gas stations might be left when they figure out a way to make money? Like, wait, so I could put up these solar panels and I could make a one-time expense to set up this charging unit, and I don't have to buy gas from a cartel anymore. Right. Oh man, come on. And you could set up these little way stations and like that all these little, everybody has an electric car. Like I don't need a Tesla. I'm not a fan of Tesla. I don't want a car that drives for me, to be honest with you. The idea of an electric car where there's no gasoline, obviously the benefits are fantastic. And I think this is just part of moving a society forward.
Yeah, dude, this is if this works in Sweden, it could be a huge game changer. Absolutely. It's what needs to happen for EVs to take the big leap necessary to replace combustion engines.
The Teslas, I don't know much about EVs, and Ben, you're more closely into the car situation.
Sure.
Dad F and Brooks brings up a point. Is the Tesla charging apparatus the plug, or for
universal.
all EVs?
I believe from what I understand, it's universal.
So from your Chevy to your
they all use the same plug, so that all the plugs are the same. Everything all the charging stations should be the same. Yes, the Tesla charging. Tesla just owns those like a gas station owns them. You know what I mean? Like, so they make the money off of those charging stations.
So it's like Chevron owning a gas station.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
That's from what I understand. That's how I understand it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like think about we know what our borders are, and we know like where our major city centers are, right? If we could reimagine the entire highway network and rebuild it around the idea of not only like cars that are going to be powered by free energy, but rework the whole pathway through neighborhoods and stuff. Like just think about that. Oh man, it'd be great.
And just to talk about Courtney's point again, this is the same technology as when you charge a cell phone. Like cars have them already, where there's a wireless charger and you just lay it on top of it and it starts charging. Right, your phone just starts charging because you lay on top of it. It doesn't. When you put your hand on top of that charger, nothing happens. There's no electricity. Like you could sit on top of it. It doesn't work that way.
To her point, though, this is part of the electromagnetic.
It wouldn't electrify the kid. Bambi.
Oh yeah, it's not like stepping on the third rail on the L here in Chicago. It's like immediate, like
yeah, sorry, sorry, squirrel.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's not that type of voltage or whatnot. But to your point, this needs environmental study, right? Because we know, like, when the government tests like sonar underwater, that it affects dolphin pods and whale pods because they don't know what the fuck that is. And they're like, they go kind of crazy. So if we introduce basically what's a dull electrical current, which again affects the electromagnetic spectrum, which
fair point.
We don't truly understand, but animals certainly do. I mean, for God's sakes, that's how birds know how to migrate, which direction to go is based on the electromagnetic fields of the planet. They literally know that, they sense that, they have that intuition. So it's worth certainly considering. It's a great point. Thanks, Courtney, because that's a point well taken in that conversation. We can't just be like, hey, this stuff is great, it's free energy, right?
Yeah,
you have to consider that. But speaking of weird electricity, this was sent to us by a longtime contributor, friend of the show, and remixer, Ryan Hansen. Mysterious surge of activity detected in the brains of dying people. Whoa. Now, there is a whole field of study about death, right? And I know this topic might make people uncomfortable. Not going to focus on the idea of that, but we all have heard about like the stories of people who come back and tell us the stories about they went into the light and they saw these people, their family,
right,
and
the light flashed before their eyes,
right? But so, and similarly, there are people who have reportedly had psychedelic effects thanks to toxins in the body that also report some of these similar situations. And scientists from the University of Michigan in the U.S. have detected a surge of activity in the brains of two people as they transitioned into death, with the phenomenon similar to spikes of brain activity seen previously in animals whose hearts had stopped beating. Capturing those final fleeting moments is a precious thing, and one so rare that we have a little idea what goes on in the brain as it fades into silence. Only last year did scientists record for the first time in gripping detail the brain waves of a dying person. Under tragic circumstances that they happened to record a spike in one particular type of brain wave activity called gamma waves, along with other changes at other frequencies. This new study reports a similar burst of ephemeral gamma activity in 2 of 4 patients withdrawn from life support. In 2013, neurologist Hemo Borgigin.
Yeah, that's very Swedish.
Oh man, that is really Swedish. It's not unlike my Dutch friends that I hosted at work a couple of weeks ago, and his colleagues have been looking for parallels in the dying human brain to what they found in rats after induced cardiac arrest. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's awful.
They reasoned that the brief flares of brain activity they saw soaring far above the levels of animals' waking state may be the biological flickers of near-death experiences reported by many cardiac arrest survivors. Quote, these findings prompted us to investigate the neural activity of the brain in the dying patients before and after clinical withdrawal of ventilatory support. The doctor and his colleagues said, the team reviewed cases in Michigan medicine, blah, blah, blah. In 2 of the 4 comatose patients they identified who passed away while doctors were monitoring their condition after a cardiac arrest or brain hemorrhage, the electroencephalogram, the EEG, recorded sharp bursts of gamma waves in one part of the brain that dispersed into long-range connections across both hemispheres, which is really interesting because usually the hemispheres don't really do a whole lot of like they're friendly enough neighbors, but they don't really like communicate a whole lot.
Interesting.
Yes, there's actually literally that's why left brain, right brain. We know nothing about the brain.
We have very little, yeah.
And we know very also even less about what happens to us when we die, what happens to that like computer that's inside of our skulls as like everything else kind of shuts off, right? But apparently something happens.
Something, yeah. We don't know what, but something.
We've had the subjective ideas and theories that like, oh, you know, the light in the tunnel and this and that, like near death experiences. But now we have some empirical evidence that like there is a spike in some chemicals and hormones in the brain. Like, sure, like no, I don't know what that means. Like, right. But if that means something that really is prominent to the experts that understand that graph, cool.
Yeah.
And you're telling me in plain English, somewhat plain English, that like you've noticed that something happens in the brain right before you die. That's insane, and that is crazily eerie to my gosh, like just about any myth about dying and passing on into a next realm that has ever been in humanity.
No, yeah, that's wild. That's interesting information to find out. And we need to obviously look into the human brain as much as we can and try to understand what's going on up there, because we, like you said, know so little.
Well, okay. Speaking of brains that we need to study, do you believe in the idea that the way you physically present information, present yourself, and speak body language is a studyable field?
Yes.
Cool. I do too. Let me introduce you to Dr. Jack Brown, who is one of, I guess, 2 body language experts in the United States that also has a medical doctor degree behind him. Okay. If you didn't know, for some reason, Governor of Florida, oh, and by the way, if you like Florida, hang on for the lightning round. Governor of Florida, yes, Ron DeSantis, went to Japan and met with their prime minister.
Okay, weird.
Okay, that's kind of weird to have a governor of a state.
Yeah, what are you doing? Is there nothing going on in Florida that you need to be doing?
I don't know. Fort Lauderdale might
don't
be.
Don't you have to introduce some sort
Fort
of fascist
Lauderdale?
Don't you need to pass some sort of fascist authoritarian, law into effect that limits transgender people in some way or something?
Aren't you at war with your state's biggest employer? And basically, the only reason
maybe not go to Japan. Maybe like try to figure out your beef with Disney. Like you are getting sued by them now.
Again, what if your cities is underwater? Like Fort Lauderdale is like legitimately like a federal disaster zone.
What in the fuck are you doing in Japan?
Well, let's take a look because there's a video that Dr. Jack Brown, body language expert, provided and then broke it down for us.
Okay, so we need to watch the video.
And we might have to go back and reference the video at certain points. There is audio too.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Many Floridians and certainly my wife and I have great regard.
Yeah, we're sorry.
And I know many Floridians and certainly my wife and I have great regard for the Japanese people, Japanese culture, and really appreciate what a great ally Japan has been in the United States over many, many decades. And so we're excited to be here to be able to explore more relations with Florida and Japan.
フルーシは、いち早くコロナ
の提供から出し、急速に成長している州であることとしています。日本企業の
Because I didn't accept that.
Uh-oh.
I didn't click the thing. So sorry about that, guys.
All right. So you can actually just go ahead and just kind of rewind his little head bob answer. Right
yeah,
there.
Okay, yeah.
And basically, what he was asked was, Governor, polls show you falling behind Trump. Any thoughts on that?
Hold on. Yeah, I can get this up right. Hold on.
Okay. Because this analysis is fascinating. And if you're a fan of watching people act when they're nervous, it's even better.
Trump, any thoughts on that?
I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes.
Yikes. That is a weird way of...
Go back to it really quick, and even before. Because his look at the way he looks.
Polls show you falling behind Trump. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes.
So let's pause it right there. Dr. Jack Brown, if you want to go and bring this analysis up. The following is paralanguage, body language statement analysis of a portion, which is what we just watched from the 43rd minute to the 52nd.
43 seconds to 52 seconds.
Right. Of him reacting to a crucial question in Japan. He immediately looks away from the reporter with his eyes, with his head still oriented in the direction, but as soon as he hears the word falling behind at 44, DeSantis then tilts his head and neck backwards. Followed immediately by a hard swallow, his Adam's apple moves up just before he speaks as he hears the word Trump at 45. DeSantis does not have a prominent Adam's apple laryngeal prominence, thyroid cartilage. So this is somewhat difficult to see on him. Hard swallows are commonly displayed during moments of anxiety, and this helps stimulate saliva production in an effort to alleviate the dry mouth of nervousness. We also see DeSantis fix his gaze in the distance, probably in a far wall above the faces of the audience, with his head and neck rotated towards the center to relieve relative to his torso. People will often refixate their gaze upon distant, mid-distant, inanimate object in order to suppress strong emotions and the corresponding emotional displays. It's helpful to think of micro behavior as a method of emotional recentering. 11 of 39. Did you see the expression of contempt on DeSantis's face?
Yeah, look at that. He is fucking pissed off right there.
There was an edit, and actually the doctor goes on to explain that there was a definite edit there. But hold on, actually you're on it, Whack. Let's talk about that expression of contempt right there, because note the prominence of his left nasolabial fold, a natural furrow all humans have that runs diagonally between the lateral aspect of the corner of each mouth and the sides of your nose. At the left side, right? So it's the opposite. There you go. So his left nasolabial fold is prominent. There's also a subtle tightening of the region above his left upper lip, as well as a mild flaring of his left nostril. All of these findings are clustered in an indicative of a contempt. That was easy for me to say. 14. We're not going to go through all of this, but this one is the crazy one. DeSantis then looks straight. Again, mid-distance again in his stare as he begins a high-frequency, low-amplitude lateral wobbling of his head neck. Note the tightening of his muscles. This is called a classic case of self-righteous head wiggle. Can we go back to the video and watch? Let's just say started at like 35 so we can see this head wiggle.
Governor, polls show you falling behind Trump. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes.
The head bobble, the indignant head bobble is, yeah, I see what they're talking about.
Right. So what we're talking about there is as the camera goes close up, we can see DeSantis continuing dramatically amplifying his self-righteous head wiggle as he says, I'm not a candidate. I'm not a candidate. So we'll see if and when that changes. The movement of self-righteous head wiggles are usually fairly rapid, high frequency, and of varying amplitude. Sometimes it's extremely short in duration, almost a micro expression, and at other times it lasts longer. Because this is a dynamic display, please view the video as still images. Okay, so we've already been doing that, right? We've seen this, right? This is the thing, the self-righteous head wiggle, SRHW, is typically displayed by individuals who are relatively high alpha personalities, but during moments of extra high confidence or arrogance, and when they're expressing strong opinions. The SRHW can be thought of as a form of nonverbal swagger.
Like Steve Austin.
Oh, hell yeah, right? But you believe it with that. But this is different, right? This guy doesn't believe what he's saying.
No.
And check this guy out. He has a whole website to check out if you're at all interested in this body language study. But he breaks down the fact that, like, in one of these pictures, he's talking kind of out of one side of his mouth, and how that asymmetrical mouth configuration while speaking is an indication of deception, melodramata, braggadocio, and feigned machismo, commonly overlapping behaviors.
Yeah, it's all of that is obvious theatrics of him being pissed off that he's even being asked that question.
But it's also showing some psychoses.
Of course it is.
And that's the important part here is that
I mean, look at him.
He's got little man syndrome. First of all, there's already pictures of him wearing lifts in his shoes and stuff like that, and standing on his toes when he's around people, because he's a wee man. He's just a wee man.
He's just a wee bitty man.
Hey, this is for the film lovers out there. Have you ever considered what a Wes Anderson version of Star Wars would be?
No, but now I'm kind of curious.
All right.
In a galaxy far, far away, prepare for a reboot like never before. This summer, Wes Anderson brings you a side of the Star Wars universe you've never seen before, the Galactic Menagerie. Join this ragtag crew of unlikely heroes as they navigate the absurdity of the cosmos, challenge the Empire, and redefine what it means to be a rebel.
Our mission is simple. We steal the Emperor's artifact, save the galaxy, and maybe find ourselves along the way.
For this mission, we'll need lightsaber, blaster, thermal detonator, paper airplane, spare parts, and R2-D2.
With a star-studded ensemble featuring the galaxy's most eccentric cast, the Galactic Menagerie is the most delightfully offbeat Star Wars adventure yet. Starring Timothée Chalamet, Scarlett Johansson, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Jeff Goldblum, William Dafoe, Adrian Brody, and Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Coming to theaters this summer, may the Force be with you.
I don't know. I think I'd watch it. I think I'd watch that.
Do you want to know what the craziest thing about that is, Ben?
It's all AI made?
It's all AI. That whole trailer was AI. And it was made by a website and a group of people called Curious Refuge. That allegedly do things for good. But put this up on their Twitter, and it found its way onto my timeline. But that entire trailer was artificially generated.
Let me ask you something, Brooks. This is something that I don't see any stories coming up about it, but it's worth talking about since we're here. You know, the writers went on strike in Hollywood.
They did.
Week.
Yes.
And my first thought was, it is awfully ballsy considering what AI is capable of. To stick your chest out when these corporate billionaires can just go, why don't we just let the fucking AI do this shit?
That's-
Do we need these people? Do we need these writers? Now, yes, there are certain arguments. Yeah, yes, the human touch, whatever. But at the same time, I would watch that. If that's a whole movie, I might watch that just because it's so goddamn goofy. But visually, that's pretty spectacular. It was pretty spectacular. And if that's all AI generated, and we don't even need actors anymore, we don't need writers. We don't need set designers.
I mean, where are we going then with this?
And to strike at this point is
I think they have every right to.
They have every right to. I support. I'm a supporter of union, but it is you are playing with fire in the idea that they could just go, why don't we lean into what it looks like now? If the movies suck and the shows suck, then they go back to the writers with the hat in hand, and the writers get everything they want. But what if the quality is as good as it? What if people enjoy AI sitcoms and fucking dramas? What? I don't know. What does that mean? I don't know.
I think there will be a human touch in this scene for sure.
Billy Wag messed around with it, and it booked super wrestlers exactly the same way.
Well, that's a whole nother. I mean, leave it to AI to be in touch with interdimensional wrestling characters. But I don't think that this becomes a thing for them. They'll quickly find that the technology is flawed. However, this could, if you believe in the whole AI is going to take over, this could be kerosene on that fire. Because if you're going to rely on AI for human entertainment, AI is going to quickly go, well, y'all are a bunch of slobs, and I'm just going to feed you a bunch of things that are going to keep you docile and tame while
Sure.
And all the while, Netflix and HBO, Max executives are all making bank while these writers are striking. What needs to happen is there needs to be solidarity across the picket line. The actors have to go yeah, I'm not working on a movie that a script is written by AI. I'm just not.
No,
I'm not going to do that.
There has to be solidarity for sure.
No, you need to be I need to be able to speak with the writer as I'm going through whatever emotions or situations that character is going through. I might have input. I need to go to the person that wrote and created that character and go, hey, this is what I'm thinking that he or she might feel or they might feel at this moment. What do you think? How can we do this? That's like a wrestling match, right? That's like trying to tell AI to come up with a wrestling match. Sure, it's going to so there's the heat, there's the shine, then there's the heat, there's the shine, and then there's the go home, and there's the fit. Whatever. It knows the structure, right? It'll tell you a cool wrestling match, right? But will it be able to sense the crowd? Will it be able to know to rewrite things and to go, well, wait, we need to pivot here because this whatever we thought was going to work here is not working. I think
Billy Wagner brings a good point. It could lead to a strong resurgence in live entertainment. Holy shit, I went out and saw a real show last night, real people. It was cool. It could be society changing. It really could. I don't know.
Do you want a smarter ATM? Yes. Do you want a smarter check-in process when you go to the hospital for your visit? You have to do some stupid kiosk that do you want something that's going to recognize the visitor badge that they gave you and be like, oh, hello, Ben. I understand you're here for your exam. Please come this way and follow this line to register. Yes, I want that. I want that. I want the cool robot on the Starship Enterprise for Next Generation, right? I want the benevolent, it's there. It knows it's there to serve a purpose, and that's all it is. It's just a computer without fucking ego.
Yeah,
that's what we might be kind of treading on right now. I think Boy, I'd love to get in a couple of those other ones, but I think, Ben, we should kind of do the palate cleanser. I don't have an Ellie for you today because things are cool. Everything in our local galaxy and our local solar systems, it's pretty cool right now.
All right.
But
well, that's good.
I've been like, there's look, the video of the lady. Look, did you see the I don't know. Did you see the video of the baby panda or the baby polar bear?
Oh Jesus!
Look at that baby polar bear.
Look at him. He looks so cute. I would again, if they never got bigger than that, I'd own one.
Yes. Unfortunately, they get bigger like that.
Yeah, and much meaner.
Oh yeah. Could you imagine?
But look at the paws on those things. Like, look at him. He's a little fur ball. Come on. Like wrestle with it on the ground. Like, come on.
Look at the mama.
My son needs a baby polar bear.
Yeah. For exactly 3 weeks until that thing becomes like aware, like I can eat you.
Right. That is the cutest fucking bear ever. Well, a little ice bear.
Just saying, because ahead of, well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to. I don't know. But sometimes we get a little too cute for our own good. Here's the lightning round. It is my dad's favorite segment. It might be yours too. So kudos to you, because there's nothing like the lightning round, ladies and gentlemen. And folks, if you weren't aware, well, first of all, the bolts up in the world's most dangerous chat room, the Thunderdome, for the lightning round. So if you're just joining us, or you're just need a refresher course on the rules of the lightning round, it's really kind of simple. 3 stories enter the Thunderdome. 1 gets chosen to be read out loud, and that is chosen by you, the people. So without any further dilly-dally, headline number 1. Florida man arrested for going 100 miles an hour, claims he needed to go to Taco Bell. Headline number 2. 911 call about fight ends with Florida cops separating 2 brawling goats.
That ended in a way different way than I thought it would.
And headline number 3.
The Florida curveball there. The Florida curveball.
It's awful. Woman claims neighbors poop in buckets, dump it in her yard.
Oh, sorry, Courtney.
Yeah. Sorry, all you non.
Oh my God! Winter chicken dinner.
No, well, I don't want to.
Oh man, people going with Taco Bell guy.
There's always the poo. Everybody
and
does.
There's the poo.
Everybody poos. Hey.
By the way, and there's the poo would definitely be the show name.
Absolutely. I think we'll go over those headlines one more time just to make sure everybody's.
All right, here we go. Alternate headlines real quick.
Woo!
Hungry Florida man on speed, goat fights, and bozo buckets of fun. All right, let's hear those one more time, because we've got a couple of votes in.
All right. Headline number 1. Florida man arrested for going 100 miles an hour and claims he needed to go to Taco Bell.
And sometimes you really need a fucking chalupa.
Headline number 2. 911 call about 911 call about fight ends with Florida cops separating 2 brawling goats. Like, not greatest of all time, like actual goats.
Like goats.
Like that type of goat. And headline number 3, it is awful. Woman claims neighbors poop in buckets, dump in her yard.
Oh, that is great. I think we've gone too far now, and so people won't vote for that. But that's the winner. That should be the winner. We should be hearing about people pooping in buckets and throwing it in their neighbor's yard, and my neighbors better watch out. That was all I'm saying.
Oh,
Ma Jordan voting for number 3.
All right.
We got a couple of Billy Wack voting for number 1. Looks like Gigi's voting for number 1 as well. Let's get those other votes in. Come on.
I know you're out there.
Get
Get your
Biz,
votes
you're
in.
out there. Dad F and Brooks, you're out there. Aunt Chris going for number 3 as well. So it's tightening up.
Ma
2
Jordan
votes for
wants
one.
to hear about the poo.
Dad, the VIPs both want to hear about the poo. Thank you.
Ryan
That's
Jordan.
why they're the VIPs.
Ryan
number
Ryan
1.
Hansen is going.
So that's
number
3
1.
for 3. I may have to vote tonight.
We are kind of tied, actually.
Is that a vote? Did Courtney vote for number 1? Is that a vote for number 1, Courtney?
Amy
Just wanna
Cleaver
confirm.
goes number 1. Taco.
I think it's
Billy
3
Whack
to
goes
3.
1.
I think it's 3 to 3. I may have to break the tie.
Courtney went number 1.
It
so
is.
There's
Okay,
3
so
there.
There's definitely 3 for number 3.
Ryan Hansen went. So that's 4 for number 1.
Box wants number 1 too.
Oh well, see, the box wants nothing to do with the poo.
She hates shit stories. Exactly.
That's the next name of our best segment: shit stories.
Yes, actually, yes. We're gonna replace.
And
we're gonna replace the headlines with shit stories.
It has nothing to do with poo. They're just shit stories you never want to hear.
Oh man! All right. Number 1 wins. Awesome Kong votes for number 1 as well.
Hey, awesome Kong!
Celebrity in the
All
house.
right, thank you. Obviously, thank you for participating and watching. We appreciate everybody here in the Ben. Let me, as I clearly stall for a moment to send you the link.
Yes.
I want to remind everybody that yes, Billy Whack was not able to join us. Actually, it actually worked out because I had the birthday riffles this weekend. Kind of lost track of time. I probably spent more time playing video games over the last 56 hours than I did sleeping.
Yes.
And I mean that like sitting on the couch, also just Xboxing away too. So you got the link. Let us give the people what they wanted. Ladies and gentlemen, from our good friends at the sunstatereport.com from March 27th. A Florida man was arrested for going 100 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone. Police noted that the gentleman, 22, was speeding while swerving in and out of traffic. Upon confrontation, the officer told Jackson he was going 100 miles an hour. But before he could, the gentleman interrupted him and claimed, I was only going 75. After this, the gentleman did admit to the officer that he was wrong for speeding. He then told the officer that he was speeding because he needed to get to his girlfriend. He needed to get his girlfriend to Taco Bell in time for her interview. Well, Jackson also driving. The gentleman, I was trying to hide his name, but it's all over the place, and I'm not in a condition right now to make up other names. Jackson was also driving on a suspended license. Jackson also had 3 juveniles in the back seat, one of which was not properly restrained. Jackson is a repeat offender when it comes to traffic laws, and his latest run will net him reckless driving and 3 counts of child neglect.
And I guarantee you he will be punished more than that fucking McDonald's franchisee that was punished for fucking child neglect.
They'll set 12 grand.
They will throw the book at this
for
dude.
bail, period.
They will, exactly. His bail will be more than $212,000 for child neglect because he didn't have a kid in a seatbelt. But the fucking franchisee from McDonald's cannot pay 10-year-olds and gets a fucking fine that he could pay in his sleep. God damn it, we live in a fucking hellhole.
But during Jackson's crime spree,
do-over, I'll take the poo story now.
Right. I mean,
see what you get.
Avoid it. Actually, the winner actually was the poo story. If I had to, that would have been my only because
that headline was a little deceptive. The headline got people there.
It got
people were
going.
expecting a much more weird reason for him to be headed to the bell, but that's what you get.
This is what happens, when
in a democracy. Sometimes you vote and you don't get what you thought you wanted.
It's not a true democracy. It's not like these stories before or these candidates before you get to the poll, which is why kind of studying up on the candidates and the people that you vote for is really important. And We're kind of coming up to a pretty important midterm election.
Next time, vote for the poo story, people.
Yes, just think like poo. You really can't go wrong. Poo jokes are funny for a reason.
You can never go wrong with poo stories. I don't care what box says.
Gigi also just doesn't think poo jokes are funny.
Like 90% of our audience are women, and they don't like it.
Fart jokes are funny.
Poop. Poop is always funny.
Okay, not to bring our domestic issues in. Welcome and thank you for joining us. And Topic Thunder, I think it's show like 115, but I don't know.
Jesus.
I don't know, right? Insane. But hey, the biggest part of the show, the heartbeat of the show is you guys, the world's most dangerous chat zone. So thank you for joining us on Twitch, Facebook, from the USS Rapapa. It's been Topic Thunder, and it's been a poo-tastic